The team I have now around me is the best team in the world. So yeah, I kind of look at that first run at featherweight as like my internship. That run at lightweight is me getting the work experience, just taking any fight, fighting anyone, being put in all of these tough situations that kind of built a callus around me. But now I'm going back to featherweight as just a consummate professional with all of that experience, with all of that technical knowledge, with all of that, with having the best team in the world around me. So I'm going back to featherweight very confident.
And if you can go in and beat Arnold in this, re-debut in the division, do you think that puts you higher than you ever were, in the previous run in this weight class?
It'd be hard to deny whoever walks away from that fight with their hand raised doesn't move on to something very big. Doesn't move on to fighting an opponent in the top 5. Like the belt is tied up for the rest of the year. We got Korean Zombie versus Volk. Then Max is waiting in the wing. So the title is held up. So there's a couple of guys sitting there in the top 5 that are going to be sitting there without a dance partner. And the winner of this fight beats one of those guys. He's right there in the mix for the next title shot.
Volkanovski and Korean Zombie. How do you see that fight going down?
Yeah, Korean Zombie gets hit too much. Korean Zombie gets hit too much. Volk gets hit too hard. You put 2 and 2 together, Korean Zombies get knocked out.
What's going on with Jake Paul, Conor McGregor? Is that fight happening or what?
Probably not. No.
Are you closed off to it completely?
I'm never completely closed off to anything. I used to say that about things, but I don't say that anymore.
Smart.
Because you never know. You never know what could happen. But I'm looking for the absolute best in the world. These guys who have trained their whole life, they fight in these smaller shows, and then they make it to the UFC, and we've put the best against the best. It's just not what we do. There's a market for what these guys do, and there's money to be made in it.
For sure.
Not saying that I don't do those type. Like I brought Brock in, but Brock won the heavyweight championship.
Right.
You know what I mean? I brought CM Punk in. That one didn't work out as well as Brock. He shouldn't even be fighting Conor McGregor. These guys are fucking huge. He's huge. His brother's huge. I mean, what's your brother? 6'1"?
Yeah.
210?
Yeah.
Conor McGregor's 145, 155 pounds.
Oh, he fights that low. I thought he fights like one. I thought he fights like
He's looking a bit
165,
thick now. He's
170.
looking a bit thick.
Yeah.
I think the argument is that he is at such a higher skill level, and that was why Floyd took me on, right?
100%.
I'm bigger, but he's a fucking god.
But what did Floyd figure out? You were so big, and you figured out how to tie him up, and you know what I mean? It's just, there's weight classes for a reason.
Yeah.
He knows I'm better than him wherever the fight goes. Doesn't matter if we're wrestling, we're doing jiu-jitsu or we're striking. I'm better than him wherever the fight goes. All he's got in this fight is a puncher's chance. So mentally for him, he needs to say, oh, he's not good at this and he's not good at that, because he knows I'm going to punch his head in.
Yeah, and as your star power gets bigger, you're going to have more critics, right, more haters, and maybe someone will say this week, they see what happened yesterday with you and Ilya, and they'll say, is Paddy focused on the fight? Is his priorities in the right place? What would you say in response to that?
Who's that? Oh, hand sanitizer boy? Is that who you mean? Oh, yeah, that's his name from now on, lad. Don't refer to him as his name, lad. His name's hand sanitizer, because it got bounced off his head. But I don't concern myself with none of that, lad. He wanted to come at me and try and act hard, and he got put in his place, lad. I was stood there on my own, and there was about 6 of them, and he done nothing. If he wanted to do something, he would have come round the table and tried to have a fight with me, but he didn't. He stood on the other side of the table because he knows what's good for him.
were you surprised in the moment that happened? Like, did it take you a second to realize what was going on, and maybe get your guard up a little bit in terms of realizing where you were and how
Not
many
really.
people were around?
Like, as soon as he come out of them double doors, lad, he snarled me. You know what I mean? So I looked at him and said, "What?" And then he walked towards me, and I said, "What's happening, lad?" And then as he got close to me, he like swiped the slap at me. You know what I mean? And obviously, lad, if you raise your hand to me, I'm gonna do something. So I wasn't punching him because I'm not breaking my hand and not being able to fight and earn me money on the weekend. So I stepped back and picked the hand sanitizer up and bounced it off his head. And then he swung a dig, what I moved out of the way of with a bit of ease. He's just got a little bit of small man syndrome, lad. You know what I mean? He's only 5'7", isn't he? So just try to leave the little men to it. I get tunnel vision, lad. Once that cage door shuts, you see the change in my face, you see what happens. Nothing what goes on outside of the cage can change that for me. I know it's just me and Rodrigo Vargas in there, but I know Molly's going to get the win. We don't lose when we're on the same card, lad. It just doesn't work like that.